Hey, welcome back, my amazing student. So on this lecture here, we're going to be learning how to unpack tuples. Now, in the last lecture, we learned how the basic syntax of tuples, right? On this lecture here, we're going to be learning how to unpack it. So I'm going to create a person variable here to hold a tuple. So let's do Maria. She's 25 years old, good age, and she is a designer. Okay, now let's unpack all this data. So I'm going to start right here by unpacking Maria to a name variable. Then I'm going to unpack 25 into an age variable, and I'm going to unpack designer into a job variable. Simple as that. Notice how it works, right? And it needs to be in order, right? The order here matters. If I change this around, right? If I change 25 and I put it right here, it's going to apply to this variable here at the end. Notice I have three variables. All right, this is basic unpacking for tuples. Super simple. Now, let's go ahead and do swapping variables. We're going to learn a couple different things here in this lecture because there are fundamental things that you should know, all right, when you are starting Python. So let's do variable swapping here. Very important for you guys to learn this. Let me do A and B here. Very simple. And I have one or two. And then what I'll do is here, what we can do is we can grab the A and B right here, and we'll just do this. Boom. Right? You probably don't know what I just did there, right? So let me show you. What I'm going to do here, we're swapping the variables. So let's do one new line here, and I'm going to do before swap. Okay? So before swap, the A and the B, the A is equal to 1 and the B is equal to 2, right? So let's go ahead and print this out so that way you can see it. All right, so 1 and 2. Now, let's do another print statement here. And what I'm going to do is this is called before, this one will be called after. Okay, I'm going to leave it the same way here. But watch this. So now when I do this, you can see this says 2 and 1. We just swapped. All right. That value. All right. This is called swapping variables, Pythonic way. Okay. Anyway, let's go and also learn how to ignore some values here. Very important to do, especially when we are, we have data structures like this. It's very important to understand how this works. So I'm just going to put TPM here. I'll put admin, right? And then I'll put active, and maybe let's put a date here. So that way I'm going to put this date right here. All right. And let's do a username here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack this, and I'm going to put that username right here. This value here as a username. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the underscore to omit this guy here, to ignore the value of admin. Okay? I'm going to put a comma right here, and then I'm going to get status. Right? I'm going to put that active into status variable. Simple as that. And then I'm going to ignore the next one here, which would be the date. And then I'm going to, of course, assign all that stuff. Right? So I started from here, right, just like I did before. But now that you know, we can always start from this side here and show you the other way around. But yeah, so now if I wanted to, I'm going to show you here how this actually works. So if I say print the record here, right, of course it's going to print all this stuff, right? You can see that it's going to print all that, right? It's a TPN, admin, active, and all that stuff, right? Now, what I can do, if I say print the username, you can see that the username is TPM. If I print the status, you can see that it says active. So we were able to ignore these other values in there, okay? Super, super, super cool. All right, let's do one more just to make it so that way we have some substance in this lecture. So let's do nesting tuple unpacking here. So this, let me just put it here because this is a harder subject to actually understand. All right. So I'll grab a variable here and I'm going to assign some tuple stuff to it. Let me just put, that's fine. I'll create a new one. That's okay. Let's just put Jose again here. And let's just put Jose's number. I'm just going to write something silly here. It really, not a real number, of course. And let's put an email. All right, let's do some unpacking, right? So let's actually do something a little bit different. Let's do name. And now that let me just actually put this data inside right here, just like that. So notice that I have two sets of parentheses, right? So we have one main parenthesis outside with this yellow color, and then we have another one with a purple color. This is the nested one, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unpack the first value here, and then I'm going to use parentheses to unpack the second nested tuple in there. So now all I have to do is replace it with variables, and let's do email here, just like that. Okay, and now of course I'll have to use the contact because I'm unpacking, right? So now we can come here and we can say print the name. Let's copy that line, and we can print the phone, and we can print the email. Simple as that. All right, and watch this. Jose, the name, the phone number, and the email. All right, super cool stuff. Right, so in this lecture, you learn quite a bit. These are fundamental stuff that you guys need to learn before we jump into more advanced programming, okay? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching my courses. Thank you so much for watching this series here. The link is in the description if you want to take the whole course. And I'm going to have more really cool stuff in the following lectures and following courses. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next lectures.